From Connecticut Public Radio in Hartford, this is Audacious. I'm Kyone Wolfe. Who's your favorite dragon? Maybe Smaug from The Hobbit?
I am fire. I am death.
Or what about Toothless and, well, all of the dragons from How to Train Your Dragon? And as a child of the 80s, I always loved Falkor. Cue the never-ending story theme.
I like children.
For breakfast?
Never. I'm a luck dragon.
Now, I have two more favorite dragons. And what's cool about them is that they're real dragons. Well, okay, they're real people who deeply identify with the power, the beauty, strength, and allure of dragons. These two people have spent many years and a significant amount of money modifying their bodies to look like dragons. In a little bit, you'll meet Burns the dragon. He's a performance artist living in Vancouver, Canada. His goal is to become the most modified person on Earth and to bring body mods more into the mainstream. But first, meet Legion the dragon. Legion was born in 1961 as Richard Hernandez. He experienced a lot of abandonment and abuse growing up in Texas. Now, he's 63, living in Los Angeles, and his legal name is Tiamat Legion Medusa. A quick note, we do talk about some pretty sensitive issues, including his struggles with mental health. And we do talk about some particularly sensitive issues around body parts, so listener discretion is advised. I started by asking Legion to describe himself.
I have 18 horns on my head, 8 on my cranium, and 5 along each eyebrow, which there'll be 10 more horns. But the horns are made of silicone and they're implants. So I'm in the process of building what is going to be my dragon's crest. All dragons have a crest, the ones that have horns. Even if you don't have horns, you still have a crest of some type. I'm going to go for 80-20. 80% reptilian is what I look like now to the average person who will see me walking down the street, and then 20% human. And I can deal with that because I will always be part human. I can't deny completely my humanity, but I am suppressing a lot of my humanity as I am on a journey in my lifetime to become the world's first and only human dragon.
May I ask, why a dragon? What is it about dragons that you identify so deeply with?
I wasn't going to talk about this, but I need to. Even if it's just the very last time that I ever talk about this, it'll be on this show here. And when I was Richard, I had a relationship with the woman, and we ended up pregnant. And boom, there came fatherhood. My son no longer wants anything to do with me. So when that came about, I was so distraught and so torn, so broken, and I was crying. And then a friend of mine from Germany reached out to me on the internet without even knowing I was going through any issues. Well, she said, I have a 3-year-old son, and he saw your thumbnail on my computer and asked me about you. So I showed him your picture, and he said, Mama, she looks like a dragon, and I love dragons. And the little boy grabbed his mom's computer, her laptop, and started kissing me on the face. Right there and then, when I read that message from my friend Goetia and my little dragon, I call him my little dragon rider. And he tells his mom, you know what, Mom? You can turn the lights off now at nighttime because I'm not scared of the dark anymore because my dragon is with me, protecting me. So when my son stepped out of my life, I decided, because when he was little, we used to play Pokemon. And our favorite Pokemon was the dragon type. So my transformation and the reason for me choosing a dragon, it's a way for me to hold on to a part of my son. I haven't seen or talked or heard from him in 14 years. So we have no new memories to share, nothing new between us in the last 14 years. So technically, he is no more than a total stranger to me. But I'm holding on to the memories. And in doing so, I'm transforming myself into a dragon. And by doing so, I'm transforming myself into something that my son loved. So I'm doing it because I'm trying to show him that I love him regardless of his rejection.
I also think about the fact that dragons are also so. I think our idea of dragons is that they are strong, they're smart, they're agile, they can protect not only other people but themselves. And I know that you had a really difficult childhood. You were abandoned by your mother and stepfather when you were 4 years old in the middle of the woods. So, and then some, and then some. I wonder how much the draw to embodying the spirit of a dragon, in addition to connecting with your child, is also maybe, and this is a shot in the dark, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but is also maybe an effort to protect yourself.
Yes, you made a really good point there. And I think it's worthwhile to talk about that and just let people really understand part of the reason that I've transformed myself into something that doesn't look just quite human is because of the pain and the suffering that I have endured all my life at the hands of humans, including my own family, my mother, my father, my stepfather, my grandfather. They all were abusive to me as a child. So, in some ways, I tell people when people say, "What made you do that to yourself?" I want to say, "You did. The world did. The world, I am a creation of the world. I exist because the world exists and I'm part of this world. And because of what I have endured and what I have been through in life, I don't want to be a human. I'm not pleased and I'm not very happy and I'm not proud to say I'm a human. The only way that I can reconcile with that peace within myself of being so different that people chastise me, they ridicule me on the streets, they belittle me on the internet. I get a lot of hatred thrown at me from people in social media. All that pain was actually like the fire that forged the heart of the dragon within me.
I'd like to hear about the beginning of this metamorphosis for you. What were some of the first changes you made to your body as you were headed in this direction to become Legion the Dragon?
Well, my first step towards in my transformation, in my metamorphosis, was to do something that I have always wanted to do my entire life since I was a kid, and that was to have horns on my head.
Hey, how did it feel?
Well, because they have to separate the skin from the scalp in order to slide a piece of silicone horn-shaped material in there to form the horn and form a pocket of skin. So it is when they're doing that, it's weird because it sounded like Rice Krispies. So I thought, I hear Rice Krispies. I want some Rice Krispies with bananas, please.
Yeah, delicious. Just put some sugar in there. Now, you also have the whites of your eyeballs tattooed green. Your ears have been removed. Your nose has been modified. Your tongue has been split. You've had teeth removed. And then some. What would you say is the body modification that was the most difficult for you to get through pain-wise?
It was my tongue bifurcation. I would never personally, and I tell this to everybody, I would never do it again.
Good thing you only have to do it once.
Yeah, it's a good thing I only had to do it once. Some people have to go back and have it recut and have it recut and have it recut. Like my body thankfully healed perfectly. So I didn't have to have it recut. And thank goodness, because if I did need to have it recut, there is no way that I'd do it.
Now, will you talk about your nose and will you describe it for people who can't see you?
My nose is my pride and joy. It is my Lord Voldemort nose. And now I'm ready to marry Lord Voldemort. Dun, 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 dun. Here we are, two snakes marking down the aisle.
Will you also? I'd like to hear about your eyes. When I imagine getting the whites of your eyes turned green, oh, it hurts my soul to imagine it. What was it like to do that?
The procedure itself took about 20 minutes for both eyes. What is required is to keep the eye flushed, keep it clean, because the ink is going to seep out, and then after a while, the seeping out of the ink will stop. But during that process, during the first 3 or 4 days, it's imperative to keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. Don't touch it with your fingers. Oh, and another don't. And this is a big don't. When people get their eyeball tattooed, they should not take a trip on an airplane because that will affect
the pressure.
Yeah, the pressure of the eye. So that's important. No jarring, no football, no anything like that until after the first week. And no, there is no pain involved in getting your eyeballs tattooed. The reason it's not painful is there is no nerve, the sclera part of the eyeball, which is the white part. There's no nerve in that. You can stick a needle in that and feel nothing.
Good to know.
And that's exactly what happens.
Because the eyes, they're the window to the soul. They're such a means of expression, identification, communication. I want to hear about what it was like for you when you were able to really fully see yourself for the first time with these beautiful emerald green eyeballs.
I was in awe. Wow, those are really my eyes now. No more normal looking eyes.
Forever.
And I felt like such a massive weight had been lifted off my shoulders. The weight of self-dislike that I had lived with all my life all went away, opened my eyes, and I saw my green eyes for the first time. I thought to myself, those are beautiful eyes. And because I was able to tell myself that I was beautiful for the first time ever in my life, it made a big difference. So yeah, my eyeball tattoo is probably the most important of all modifications that I've ever gotten.
I'd also like to hear more about your ears. They're just gone. They're your ears aren't there. Wow. How was that? How did that go?
I can't hear you. Hello.
I said, how did that go?
Well, it was when I got my first ear taken off, and I was able to see through a mirror, like, whoa, it's gone. I started crying. Like, oh my God, it's really gone. Getting rid of my ears and my nose was probably the most liberating of all my body modifications. Well, with the exception of my testicles. I'm technically a eunuch right now because I did have my testicles removed. So my ears, my nose, and my testicles, the body parts that I had removed away, are the ones that have helped to make me more whole, to help make me feel more complete, more like my true self.
That was Tiamat Legion Medusa, also known as Legion the Dragon. When we get back.
I do see myself as a god. I'm my own god. I am my own special creation.
Then meet Burns the Dragon.
I have horns, my eyes are purple, my ears are pointed, I have a split tongue, it's also tattooed purple.
I'm Kyone Wolf. This is Audacious. Stay with me. This is Audacious. I'm Kyone Wolf. Today we're getting to know two dragons. Well, humans who have transformed their bodies to resemble these mythical beasts. In a little bit, you'll meet Burns the Dragon, a performance artist from Vancouver, Canada. But let's get back to my conversation with Legion the Dragon from Los Angeles, California. And just to let you know, there is a brief mention about sexual assault, so listener discretion is advised. Now, you also had to take the time after all these body modifications to heal, to rest, to make sure that the wound was clean, to ask for help, maybe. And I'm curious about how you factor in healing and if healing is part of the modification process too. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right. Healing is very, very important. Yes, absolutely. I am called Miracle Body because I heal everything in record time. Like I can go out and get 8 piercings tonight, and I come back 3 days later, and you can't even tell that they were fresh. And I hope that you know by now. If you don't, well, surprise, surprise. I am HIV positive. And because of that, it is absolutely of the utmost importance to have the healing process planned out. I'm going to need gauze. I'm going to need the eye wash and maybe some assistance. Yes. So I have to make sure that I am prepared ahead of time. But that includes my diet, how much rest I get. I have to have a minimum of 10 hours sleep every night. So I don't do a lot of things that are going to stress me out. And I'm trying really hard to stop falling in love. Like, oh my God. You know what? I was asked in a prior interview with Ivory Hecker. She asked me, she says, my followers want to know, does anything hurt? I said, yeah, love hurts. So yeah, you know what? I need to quit falling in love because that's ultimately not going to be good for my body if I let myself continue to be vulnerable.
You make me think about how in this modification of your body, it's like you reclaiming everything and shedding all that has been hurt and creating something that is utterly yours and nobody else's. And when I think about you healing, I think that it's like you worked that into the package too, because you can't have the opportunity to heal if you haven't done something to your body to heal from. And so it's like the world caused you pain and your healing is the modification, and the modification gives you one more opportunity to heal.
Yes, you know what? Let me just share something with you that's very personal. Body modification, my journey. This is what has saved me. It has kept me from doing things to myself that would be harmful or maybe even like end my life. But at the same time that I was suffering and going through agony, I was also being like reborn. My spirit was reborn. And so that is what body modification has done for me. It's given me an opportunity to be truly reborn into this world, but not as human, as a dragon.
You have a lot of reasons to be angry, including being abandoned by your parents at 4. You were abused by your grandfather. You were assaulted, and when you were 18, you became HIV positive. You've tried to end your life 5 times. The love of your life, Mark, who you were together with for 20 years, died 14 years ago. There's a lot of pain. So I wonder what healing looks like for you. Is this healing?
I'll tell you exactly what healing looks like for me when take into consideration all the pain that I have had in my lifetime. Let me go stand in front of a mirror right now. I'll show you. I'll show you. This is what healing looks like. I'm standing in front of my mirror. Hello. This is what healing looks like to me. I think I'm beautiful. Damn it. Snap, snap, snap.
I wonder what ways you think your metamorphosis is also a way to cope with the pain. Not necessarily like to get to a healing point, as if there's like a point where you're magically healed. That's not the way it works. But I also think about how in some ways your appearance is also armor that's protecting you. Like you're distancing yourself from the humans who've done so much harm to you, and you're protecting yourself by making it in some ways harder for people to see you and feel connected to you. Is that on point at all?
Yes, it is on point, 100%. My transformation, all the body mods that I've gotten and those I'm going to be getting are my way of dealing with the pain, with the disappointments of humanity, with the anger that had been built up inside of me towards humans. I still feel all that. I still feel all my emotions, but I guess I've wrapped myself around that pain and all those things that really hurt me, and I've embraced them, and I've become something greater than what I was, something stronger, something more lifelike. I truly am born again. And no, I didn't find Jesus because I didn't know he was lost.
And you know what you make me think about? When I think about the idea of God, that's synonymous with a creator, right? Uh, and in a way, you are rejecting the body that you were given, and you are your own creator. You are, in a way, dare I say, your own God. How do you feel when I say that?
Love it. I'm applauding you right now. It's awesome. That's exactly you said it so perfectly. Yes, I do see myself as a God. I'm my own God. My theme song is a song that is called "I Am What I Am" by Gloria Gaynor. The lyrics say, "I am what I am. I am my own special creation. I am in charge of my own destiny, and I own every bit of it."
What is next for you? What are some of the changes that are lined up in front of you?
Well, there are some body modifications that are pretty simple and kind of like, kind of mainstream nowadays. So people don't actually see them as body modification, but you see my white beard, which is awesome. By the way, I love my white beard.
I have beard envy. Yeah.
Well, I'm getting ready to modify my body by putting some color into my beard, and I'm going to make my beard purple and green, like a 1970s Chevy.
So one of the less painful modifications.
Right. Now moving to some that are a little more on the painful side, I plan to remove all my eyelashes because lizards and snakes don't have eyelashes. So anyway, the eyelashes are going, and I might do them myself. I'm going to try to start doing them myself, and if I'm not able to, I will have, I guess, get a friend to help me just pluck them out. Just pluck, pluck, pluck.
What will you do with them when you pluck them out?
I will probably put them in a glass jar and save them for, I don't know what. I'm a witch, so I collect stuff like that. And so after that, I do plan to get more horns on my head. So I have already plans to get 7 new horns. The next time I get horns from my mod artist. But beyond that, I'm also looking at getting my belly button removed.
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait. How do you get a hole removed?
Trust me, it gets done, and it looks pretty good. When it's after it's done, it's just smooth down there. You just don't have that little hole anymore. And the reason I'm getting rid of my belly button because it's a connection to my human mother, and I'm severing that tie. I'm severing that tie like no one's business. I want nothing to do with that. And what I mean by that is not just the belly button, it's that life. Those people that I'm turning myself into a gorgon. When Athena found out that Poseidon raped Medusa, she turned Medusa into a hideous gorgon, which is a half serpent, half human creature, ugly looking. And Medusa, yes, everybody's afraid of her. She'll turn you into stone if you look into her eyes. But I did it for the same reason that Athena did it. Athena turned Medusa into a hideous creature in order to save her and protect her, to keep men from lusting after her, because everybody who saw her wanted her. Everybody lusted after her. She was that beautiful. Men couldn't help themselves. They all wanted Medusa. So Athena is decided to protect her by turning her into something the total opposite of what she really was, which was a hideous creature. And I turned myself into the living embodiment of Medusa today because it is my way of protecting myself.
Thank you for that. When you look at photos of yourself from before you did any body modifications, what does that feel like?
Well, first of all, the people that I used to be, Richard, Noman, Pan, Eva, all those people are dead. When I see myself as the unmodified person, the banker with the suit and tie and the conservative look, hairstyle, and all that, I don't see myself. I see someone, I know the life of that person, but that person's not me. Therefore, since I am claiming to be a newly created individual entity, I officially reject the notion of having a child. From now on, whenever someone asks me if I have any children, I'm going to say no. Because you can't have a relationship with someone that doesn't exist. The son that I'm referring to, that's not my son. That's Richard's son. That was 2 lives ago, not me. I love kids. Kids are my biggest fans in the world. I dance with them. I play games with them. I play hide and seek with them. I'm a kid at heart myself. So I enjoy kids through my family and through my friends. That is how I have reconciled the loss of my son.
If you could go back in time and talk to yourself as a little kid, what do you think you would say?
He is loved. That's all I want to tell him, that he is loved and he is special.
Well, I have asked everything that I can get to. Is there anything that I missed? Anything else that you want to say before we go?
All I ask is that people be yourself and always march to the beat of your own drum. Life is happier that way.
Well, Legion the Dragon, thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you, Kyone. It's been such a pleasure. I wish you and your show many, many more years of great success. And if there's anything I can do, Holla, I'm here. I'm your dragon.
We'll have photos of Legion at ctpublic.org/audacious. After the break, in a perfect world, what more could Burns the Dragon want to do to his body?
I would love functioning wings and a functioning tail. That would do it.
I'm Kyone Wolf. This is Audacious. Stay tuned.
I am what I am. I don't want praise. I don't want pity. I bang my own drum. Some think it's noise. I think it's pretty. And so what if I love each sparkle and each bangle? Why not try to see things from a different angle? Your life is a sham till you can shout out, I am what I am. I am what I am, and what I am needs no excuses.
This is Audacious. I'm Kyone Wolf. How often can you say that you've heard the voices of two dragons in one radio show? You might call this our Dragon Tales. Our next guest is Burns the Dragon. He's a fire-breathing performance artist from Vancouver, Canada. And like Legion, he spent a great deal of time, money, and pain making his body look like a dragon. Also known as Josh Burns, he grew up totally enamored with reptiles. He started working at carnivals and then developed a street performance career. He's been a living statue, a juggler, and a fire breather. Now he's channeling his inner dragon, with his tattooed eyes set on becoming the world's most modified person. The dragon wings, tattooed on his back, were all done in one session of 55 hours, including breaks, and 51 of those hours were under the needle. He also has subdermal implants that look like horns, and his tongue is split. But I wanted to know, what was his first body modification?
The very first thing was dyeing my hair when I was 13. But that I don't think that's what you're asking. Then I got piercings, and my first real extreme body modification was my tongue split, and I got that at 21.
What inspired it?
Well, I started as a busker, a street performer statue, and I was a juggler as well. But I met other people, and I met a specific person who had body mods. He had his tongue split and stuff like that. And he introduced me to the guy who did his body mods. And ever since then, I've been like kind of hooked on it. We kind of switched. He went juggler and I went sideshow.
May I ask what the procedure is like when a tongue is split? How do they do it?
There's professional ways, and then there's ways people have done it themselves. I went obviously to a professional. They used a scalpel and cut down the middle, and then sutures on either side to sew it up.
How'd it feel?
Of all my body mods, and I have quite a few, the tongue split was by far the worst, healing wise. The first week, I couldn't eat solid food, and because the stitches were still in, there was a lot of pressure on where the stitches were. So that's most of the pain, to be honest, is the swelling of the tongue trying to rip open the wound that's been sewn shut. After the first week, I was able to eat solid food. They were able to take out the stitches, and as soon as the stitches were out, almost all of the pain was gone, unless you touched it or something.
When they did the actual cutting, did they start from the top and kind of work their way down, or was it from the tip and worked its way back?
I had my tongue pierced, and they started at the just behind the piercing, so the very back of my tongue, and to the tip. I've done it twice. I've actually done it twice.
What? How? Why?
It regrew. The first time you split it, it often regrows back, and
it seals shut?
Exactly. Yeah, from the back moving forward and over the years.
That seems unfair.
It was, but because I've done it once, it has scar tissue now, and so the second time now it's resplit and it's fully split. And now it won't regrow because there's scar tissue anchoring it in place so that it can't regrow.
Okay. Then, if I have this right, you had your ears pointed?
Yeah, that was the second mod. You actually guessed the order right.
And then the horns.
Then the horns, yeah, that was the third one.
And then the lobes? You were delobed?
Sort of. The goal, like, it was a new procedure, never been done before. So the goal was to make it more dragon-like, so jagged, and it kind of rounded out over healing. I heal really well, which is good, but also it kind of makes it so that I'm less malleable, so to speak. Later, people have there's been suggestions that they should have done different things, like they should have put silicone implants in and cut around the implants if I wanted it to look a specific way. Or I've seen other ones where they just take out big chunks and like move pieces around, sort of. But it was so new when I first got into it that, like, I was the second and third eyeball, the person who did my eyes ever on a human. I was a test subject.
Will you talk about why a dragon? There's a lot of really cool animals out there that could be something you really identify with, but what attracted you to dragons and continues to attract you to dragons so much that you are modifying your body to the degree to which you have already?
Of all of the mythical creatures that exist, I definitely think that dragons are my favorite. I've drawn to them for sure. I feel like they're often the most powerful, wise, so on and so forth. I'm just really, I've always been, I've had bearded dragons and I have snakes, and I have a monitor lizard at the moment. So I've always really liked reptiles and everything about reptiles, and dragons are the best reptile.
I mean, that's true. That's true. Look in the history books, you know?
Even the real life dragons, like they're the biggest living reptiles out there.
And they're just cool. They're just cool.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of tattoos. I've got my sleeves done, a lot of thick black work. Love it. Great. It's been part of my life for over 20 years now. And I imagine that for you, you get attention, but it's not quite the same way I do, because maybe you can just describe yourself. I know we talked about some of your work, but if for those who are listening to this and not seeing you, they are walking towards you on the street, how would you describe how you look? Some of the main features that stick out to people.
Okay, I have horns. My eyes are purple. My ears are pointed. I have a split tongue. It's also tattooed purple. Walking down the street, if you didn't know me and I was in a grumpy mood, you'd probably want to step to the different side. However, if you spend 5 minutes talking to me, you can tell that I'm not an evil person. But however, I think the funniest and worst and best story I have with a stranger and my appearance is, I was buying a SkyTrain ticket, and a homeless person comes up to me, and well, first he comes up to the person beside me and says, "Hey, do you have money?" and asks for basically begging for money. Then he comes to do the same thing for me. Looks at my face. He's like, "What's wrong with your face?" That was the first thing he said, and I was just like, nothing. And then the second thing he said was, "Can I have some money?" And I was just like, no, you literally came out of the gate with, "What's wrong with your face?" But so, like, another time I was on the SkyTrain. Again, it always seems to happen around the SkyTrain, But I was on the SkyTrain, and the people on the other side of the platform just starts pointing at me, like I'm in a zoo. But so I guess there's points like that, but majority of it is curiosity.
What kind of questions do you get?
Did it hurt? Simple answer is yes, it hurt. It's just everything.
Whatever it is you're asking about, it hurt.
Yeah. The biggest question is definitely, did it hurt, and why did I do it, and how it's affected my life in a normal capacity, which for the most part, after the first time of meeting me, after the first day, people kind of forget that I have the body. Like, it's like tattoos. It's like, you're not going to, once you're like, oh, wow, they're fully tattooed, you're not going to dwell on that for very long. It's
the novelty wears off.
Yeah. And it's really good as a performer, because that's often the first time many people have ever seen it and see me. And that novelty is really big. However, you get me behind the scenes and I'm just normal. Like, it's no different than anything else. It's just basically that first impression is the big one.
When we walk down the street, we want to connect with people, and we want to be loved, and we want to be seen. And for some of us, more than others, they feel a certain scarcity. Like, I've got to make myself look likable, so I'm more likely to get friends because there's a scarcity of friends. I don't get that sensation from you.
Growing up, I wasn't very popular. Let's just say that. Before I got into being a performer and before I started doing the body mods and everything else, I didn't have very many friends. So I learned just to live my life how I live it. And ever since I kind of just accepted that and started being myself, everything has gotten better. So I don't have that like peer pressure. Like it doesn't exist with me. I do what I want, whatever I think I like.
When I see pictures and videos of you performing, I always see your audience totally mesmerized, and often they're cheering for you and just completely putty in your hand. I wonder how that feels for you, because it's one thing to perform, and that must feel good because that's something that brings you joy. But that aspect of you looking kind of scary to some people and bringing joy, I'd like to hear about what that feels like to be in the middle of.
That's why I do it, really. As I mentioned earlier, I wasn't very popular in school. I always seeked attention, a lot of it, like more than anybody around. And so I would seek good attention and negative attention. And that's probably why I wasn't very popular. I was annoying and I poked and I prodded and I did whatever I did to get attention. And then eventually I learned that performance got me a lot of attention in a good way. And I didn't have to have the negative attention ever. And so like I live vicariously through the crowd. Like it's not amazing to me anymore after the 150th show. However, I still get that same energy from the people that are in the audience because it's their first time. Like my job is to bring happiness and joy, and like I work where everybody else vacations. So I want to live a life that I want to live. Like it's something I would want to do rather than going to. I tried the day job thing. I just couldn't. Like it was depressing. That made me depressed. This makes me happy.
Do people ever just come up and try to touch you?
Many times. Okay, it's the equivalent of a pregnant lady. No different, except for it's my face, not their stomach.
How do you like when that happens?
I almost bite their hand every time. How would you like if somebody went up and just touched your face? Your face.
No, I wouldn't like it at all. And if I had your face, I would definitely show him my fangs, you know?
Yeah, it's. I guess consent matters with everything. I mean, I understand that I have brought more attention to myself. Like I'm not trying to be a normal person in no regard, but just randomly like walking up and touching my face without even saying, "Hey, can I feel your horn?" or whatever. That I don't mind. I will let every single person who asks go ahead, and I'll even joke about it. Like I usually make a joke of scaring them and then letting them actually touching my forehead, but it's okay because it's all part of the show. But when you just randomly come up and touch my face, I want to punch you in the face. If you touch my face, I get to touch your face a little harder, right?
With my fist.
Yeah. So hey, officer, he hit me in the face first with his finger.
If you could wave a magic wand and have every body modification you ever wanted just appear, what would they be? What would you look like?
I would love functioning wings and a functioning tail. That would do it. However, those aren't in the realm of reality right now. We'll see, but down the road. But right now, if I could, I would have a lot more subdermal implants. Like my next body mod will be a scale or bone ribs down my arm. I plan on tattooing over after it's done. I want to do spines down my back. I'm not sure about eyebrow implants to make my face look more dragon-like. My goal is to be one of the first, I'm not even going to say A-list, B-list celebrities that have body mods because there isn't any. Like you may know of the Lizard Man or you may know of certain people. However, they're not celebrities, like the regular folk. Like everybody doesn't know their name It's not a household name. And I would love to make Burns the Dragon a household name. It's not already, maybe not Burns the Dragon, but this character a household name. And just to push that body mods further into society, like tattoos are pretty common now. They were not when I was a kid. And before that, like it was like you're a gangster or you were in the Navy. And so tattoos have almost become quite normalized, but body mods aren't there yet. And I would like to be that first step. That's a goal.
This is sort of an aside question, but you were talking about the spines, the stuff you would want to get on your spine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What about like when you have to sit on like a 8-hour airplane ride?
So I have 2 subdermal horns, so I have experience with them. I have leaned against windows too hard, and it has bothered me, I guess. But if I have to, I could get a special cushion. Like I'm not worried about the minor inconvenience in the moment. I mean, I hang from hooks in my back. I can handle anything. Really.
Can't imagine. Yeah, I hang from hooks on my back, but an 8-hour plane ride, no, too much.
Exactly. So in comparison, stuff like that is like, okay. So I know other extreme body mod artists or people who have done stuff more extreme than I have. And I'm not sure if it's too much or not. It's I guess it's a personal level, but they've cut off their nose. And that's again, that's okay. That's I don't mind the look or whatever. However, they have a runny nose because they've cut away their nose hairs and all of that. So they have a runny nose permanently. Always, they have a handkerchief, and they're always dabbing at their face permanently, and they're totally fine to do that. They're like, I'm gonna do more. So depending on what level of like, if you know what you're signing up for, and like I do know because I have, like I said, I'm going step by step. I'm not just. It's not like overnight I'm changing my whole body. Like has been a long process, and it is a long process. So at any point I could stop. I could remove the subdermal implants. They're not permanent. They can be removed. So if for some reason there was a medical issue that was consistent, I could always remove it. However, I don't think I would go through that unless I had to.
Well, Burns the Dragon, thank you so much for talking with me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You can see photos of Burns and Legion at ctpublic.org/audacious. This show is always so lovingly produced by Jessica Severin de Martinez, Khalil Rahman, Meg Fitzgerald, Meg Dalton, and Katie Tolarski at Connecticut Public Radio in Hartford. If you liked this episode, which of course you did, check out the one we did featuring a man who chose to replace his racist tattoo with a giant rose, and other stories about tattoo cover-ups. And now that I think of it, I wish I had asked retired CIA Chief of Disguise, Jana Mendez, how she would have made someone look like a dragon. Check out my conversation with her and all of our episodes at ctpublic.org/audacious or wherever you get your podcasts. Stay in touch with me on the socials at Kyone Wolf, and you can always send an email to audacious@ctpublic.org. Thanks for listening.